Viewers of this channel know that I'm obsessed with talking about the comics that aren't picked up so much, the entire runs that aren't really looked at. Today we're specifically going to be talking about Silver Age full titles that it seems like no one really collects. I never really get this stuff in ever, and when I do, it's really tough to move because you're targeting such a niche audience. I'm going to give you 8 titles from the Silver Age that I'm surprised so few people touch. Someone came into the antique shop just a couple weeks ago asking if I had any Hawkman comics. I'm looking around like, oh wow, I don't even think I've ever been asked that before. I don't have a Hawkman bin at the shop, and really anything on this list I don't have a bin at the shop. I do get Hawkman in. It typically just winds up at an online sale as like here's a 12-cent DC book, set price anywhere from $5 to $15 depending on the condition, and that's it. So usually the people that buy it are just more interested in it because it's a 12-cent DC thing. But I don't really know anyone collecting Hawkman runs. Weird thing about it is it's relatively easy to collect. There's actually only 27 issues. Issue 4, everybody wants. So it's hard to get full runs of Hawkman because 4 is almost always missing. That's the first appearance of Zatanna, if you don't know. The second major hiccup with Hawkman is his first appearance came in Flash Comics #1, a dangerously rare and expensive major key from the Golden Age, and a lot of his big appearances, cover appearances, were all Golden Age things. Then you had books in Showcase, you had Brave and the Bold titles, long before you got your Hawkman run. I don't really see people collecting the 60s 12-cent Hawkman run, and maybe one of the reasons is Hawkman's just that hard to collect overall. The second one, I kind of often put these two together, is the Atom. Like many on this list, the first appearance of the Atom is in a Showcase title, issue 34. The Atom run is another relatively easy run to collect if you wanted to do it because there's only 45 issues and there's only a few Showcase issues that predate the actual Atom series. Of all the ones on the list, I think this is one of the most easily obtainable, and I never see anyone doing it. Again, I do sell Atom books on occasion, but only the keys. So I can sell issue #1 because frankly it's an issue #1. I can sell, 3 Kronos, is that his name? Or Chrono, whatever, his main villain. But the non-key stuff, the fluff, it falls into that $5 to $15 depending on condition, just generic 12-cent DC book. Check it out. I have yet to meet anyone that's trying to collect a full run of the Atom. If that happens to be you, please drop it in the comments below because I think that's pretty cool and you're collecting something most people aren't. Next is the Charlton titles. So Charlton was another comic book publisher back in the 60s that was very competitive with DC and Marvel. They made Peacemaker, Judo Master, The Question, the Blue Beetle we most know, Ted Kord, and my favorite, Captain Atom. Now, the funny thing is, all of those 5 characters I mentioned have extremely short, limited runs, so it's not going to kill you to try to collect them all, and yet I don't know anyone trying to collect all those books except for the keys. This is one that seems like a fun challenge and yet strangely obtainable, and I don't really know anyone doing it. I'm going to preface this next one with, wow, there's some beautiful covers here. Sea Devils. This is another one on the list, and it won't be the last one, that first appeared in the Showcase title, DC's Showcase 27. Now, unlike Hawkman and Atom, I really rarely get this stuff in. So Sea Devils now falls into the territory of something I might only see like once a year. It's that scarce. I think people were grabbing that a hell of a lot less than the main superhero titles, and it was early 60s, so it kind of missed out on that 64 and up boom. If you want to check out a video on why 1964 was amazing, that was a fun video I did, check it out. And I just think it's this perfect pocket of underappreciated, non-superhero thing that has such incredible art that's completely overlooked. I think there's something like 35 issues, but I don't know anyone who's got it all or trying to collect them all. Could be a good one to try for the new year. Next, Challengers of the Unknown. So this is a really tough one to get the first appearance of because it's Showcase #6. Getting pretty close to Barry Allen's first appearance here. Really tough first appearance, but Challengers of the Unknown itself had 80 some issues. It even stretched into the 70s. The back half I actually see all the time. So you can get the 70s and up stuff pretty easily. It's the 60s ones that are tough, of course. But unlike some of the other ones on this run, there's almost no keys in the entire run at all. So it's not like there's going to be certain issues plucked out of there. But I still don't know anybody with a full run of this. I don't know anyone who's actively hunting this. I've never even considered it myself, even though I love underrated stuff just like this. I don't know, maybe I'll be hunting it in the new year. This next one's particularly brutal because I've kind of used some language like, no one ever collects this. Okay, no one really ever collects this one. I never have seen it. Rip Hunter and the Time Masters. Once again, got a first appearance in a showcase book, and then he got his own series. Just about 30 issues, and I even had some very high-grade copies recently, some really decent copies, and it's 12-cent DC, but it's such an odd title. Typically, I can move that stuff in the $10, $15 range, but for those, I had to move them at $5 a piece. Most people haven't even really heard of this run. So if you like time travel and you like science fiction, this is an extremely slept-on, not touched at all series. The second to last is going to go to Metal Men. Once again, another DC series that first got its first appearance in Showcase. I think it's 37. Looks like a manta ray on the cover. And Metal Men did get their own series. It actually went for 50 some odd issues. It reminds me a bit of Challengers of the Unknown, where it's that same kind of missed audiences a bit. Now, I do know my friend's dad expressed a lot of enjoyment for the Metal Men. So I know like there's that one guy that likes it, but I really don't know anybody else who wants or is even remotely interested in the Metal Men. Now that could change because I did see that James Gunn mentioned the Metal Men in some posts or tweets or something, so we'll see if that impacts things. Even though Metal Men has been reprised in the 90s and is still technically around, I really don't see it too much. For our last entry, I'm going to give you the hardest one of them all. I've mentioned it a billion times in this own video, and that is Showcase. Showcase is an extremely hard behemoth to try to get. Now, some people do collect Showcase, but only the keys. I've never heard of anybody, or no one's mentioned to me, of trying to collect all 104 issues. A couple things make it hard. The back half, the most recent issues, were scarcely printed and really hard to get in high grade. And when you want 70s stuff, you want it in high grade. The 50s and 60s stuff is so classically always like a 1.5. Every time I see a Showcase 22, first Green Lantern, it's like a 1.5. I think the best I've ever seen was a 3. There's just something about those early first 30, 40 issues of Showcase that are always so almost junky condition. Now, I do know that Showcase was not as picked up as some other titles going on. So it makes sense that there's a lot less of them out there, and there's a lot less of them in high grade. And because it's a run with so many first appearances, a lot of the copies have been traded billions of times over, like the first Barry Allen, like the first Adam Strange, like the first Green Lantern, as I mentioned. There are some whoppers in there that make collecting this really hard. But there's also some non-key issues that people don't touch. I never really see the non-key issues. It's more common that I see the keys from Showcase as part of a big collection purchase or someone trying to unload and get a little bit of money for some good books. I never see Showcase fluff. I never see the filler, and that's so weird. And I think it's because no one's trying to collect the full run. Did anything on today's list surprise you? Did anything on today's list inspire you? Does anything on this list resonate with you personally because you do actually have full runs or are trying to get them of this stuff? Let me know down below. It is very possible that this is the last video of 2024, so I'll see you all in the new year. Thanks as always, and keep on hunting. Make sure to come on down to Sentiment Depot's Antiques and Collectibles, located at 238 West Delaware Ave in Pennington, New Jersey. Find so many great books for just $1. and the lowest prices on key comics around. Enjoy a huge selection of graded comics priced up to 20% lower than current fair market value. We are open from Wednesday to Sunday, closed Monday, Tuesday. You got a collection you want to sell? Bring that too. Can't wait to see you there.